Before the maps were drawn, before the flags were raised, there was a land of vibrant green and crystalline blue, a land of wood and water. The people who called it home knew it as Xaymaca. We know it today as Jamaica. These were the Taino, a people whose story is woven into the very fabric of the Caribbean. They were a sophisticated society, part of the wider Arawakan language family, and their culture flourished here for centuries, long before the first European sails appeared on the horizon. Theirs is a story, not just of the past, but one that echoes into the present. Imagine a society structured like a great, living tree. At its peak was the cacique, the hereditary chief, the leader of the community, or cacique. These chiefs were not just rulers, they were diplomats, often using strategic marriages to forge alliances and strengthen their influence across the island. The strength of the community depended on these intricate bonds. Just below the cacique were the Tanos, the noble class. Think of them as the managers and organizers of daily life. They oversaw everything from public works and labor to the vital trade networks that connected communities. And the foundation of this society, the hard-working majority, were the Naborias, the common people whose labor sustained everyone. What's fascinating is how power was passed down. It wasn't always from father to son. The Taino followed a matrilineal system, meaning heritage and the right to rule were often traced through the mother's side. This meant that women could, and did, rise to the highest rank of cacique, leading their people with authority and respect. A leader's power wasn't just political, it was spiritual. When a cacique held council or presided over a ceremony, they would sit upon a duho, a magnificent ceremonial stool carved from wood. These weren't just pieces of furniture, they were sacred objects, believed to hold the spirit of an ancestor or a deity, connecting the world of the living to the world of the divine. The heart of Taino life was the village, the Yukayek. These were not random collections of huts, but carefully planned settlements. At the center of every village was a large, open plaza. This wasn't just empty space, it was the community's living room, its stage, and its cathedral. Here, they held their most important religious ceremonies, celebrated vibrant public festivals, and played their intense, ritualistic ball games. It was the place where the entire community came together. Their homes, called bohíos, were a testament to their ingenuity and connection to the land. Most were large, circular buildings designed for communal living, housing multiple families under one roof. The elite, however, might live in larger, rectangular structures, signaling their status. All of their buildings were constructed from the gifts of the island, sturdy logs and poles for the frame and intricately woven palm thatch for the roofs, creating homes that were both strong and perfectly suited to the tropical climate. But how did they feed themselves? The foundation of their survival was a brilliant and sustainable form of agriculture. They practiced farming in raised mounds of earth called conacos. This wasn't simple gardening. They would first clear a piece of land by burning the vegetation, a technique which enriched the soil with a layer of nutrient-rich ash. This created incredibly fertile ground for their crops. Their most important crop, the cornerstone of their diet, was cassava, also known as mani. The women of the village were responsible for the complex process of detoxifying and preparing this root vegetable, turning it into the flour that made their daily bread. But their farms were a bounty of diversity. They grew sweet potatoes, which they called butata, along with corn, yams, peanuts, beans, and a variety of peppers that added spice and flavor to their meals. As a people of the sea, their diet was rich with the ocean's harvest. They were masterful fishers, crafting strong nets and ropes from cotton and palm fibers to bring in abundant catches of fish and shellfish. The turquoise waters surrounding their island were a constant, reliable source of food. Their sustenance didn't stop at the shore. They hunted the island's unique wildlife, including small mammals like the hutia, as well as lizards and a variety of birds. Sometimes, they used domesticated dogs to help in the chase, and cleverly employed parrots as decoys to lure other birds. The lush forests also provided a wild pantry of fruits, from sweet papayas and guavas to the rich, creamy mamey apple. Nothing was wasted. Everything was a gift from the land. The Taino were not isolated. They were explorers and traders, masters of the Caribbean Sea. They built enormous dugout canoes, kayit, canoas, some large enough to carry up to 150 people. In these impressive vessels, they navigated the open water, creating a sprawling trade network that connected Jamaica with other islands across the Caribbean. They exchanged goods, ideas, and culture, weaving a web of connection that spanned hundreds of miles of ocean. Their world was far larger than the shores of their own island. This was a civilization on the move, connected and thriving in a land of wood and water. It's a legacy of resilience, ingenuity, and a deep connection to the natural world. The vibrant, cultural and spiritual world of the Taino people, the first inhabitants of Jamaica and other islands like Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Cuba, their world was rich with art, sport, and a profound connection to the cosmos. So, how did the Taino have fun? Well, it wasn't just fun. It was a sacred game called Beatty. Picture this: a rectangular court, a solid rubber ball, and players who could only use their head, shoulders, elbows, or knees to keep it in the air. This wasn't just the ancient version of soccer. It was an intense, high-stakes game. Beatty was more than just a sport. It was a ritual. Communities would sometimes use it to settle disputes, a ceremonial battle that replaced actual warfare. Imagine settling a conflict with a game instead of a fight. It shows a deep cultural value for ritual and resolution. It was a spectacle, a community event, and a core part of their social fabric. Now, let's talk about style. While the warm Caribbean climate meant clothing was minimal, simple loincloths for men, and short skirts for women, personal adornment was anything but simple. The Taino were masters of style. For ceremonies, they would paint their bodies with intricate designs, transforming themselves into living works of art. And the jewelry. They crafted stunning necklaces, nose rings, and earrings from gold, polished stone, and shimmering shells. This wasn't just decoration. It was a statement of status, identity, and artistic pride. Each piece told a story, connecting the wearer to their community and their environment. The Taino were, without a doubt, exceptional artisans. Their hands brought incredible creations to life. They were master woodcarvers, shaping massive logs into ceremonial stools called duhaza, reserved for their chiefs or caciques. Their creativity didn't stop there. They produced beautifully decorated pottery, each piece unique in its patterns. They wove durable hammocks and baskets from plant fibers, items so practical and ingenious that they are still used around the world today. We can literally thank the Taino every time we relax in a hammock. And if you want to see their history with your own eyes, you can. The Taino left an enduring legacy etched in stone. Across the islands, deep within caves, you can find their petroglyphs, rock art, depicting their symbols, their beliefs, and their stories. These ancient galleries are a direct window into their world, a silent testament to their presence and their culture, preserved for centuries. It is a powerful and humbling experience to stand where they stood and see the marks they left behind. Life wasn't just work and ritual. It was also filled with music and celebration. Imagine a village feast. The air filled with the rhythmic sounds of wooden drums and the haunting melodies of flutes made from bone or clay. Central to these gatherings were These were epic song and dance festivals, led by men. Through music and movement, they recounted the entire history of their people. They sang of great ancestors, of fierce wars and cherished peace, of creation myths and daily life. The aretos were their living library, their history books, ensuring that the memory, sorrow, and joy of the Taino would be passed down from one generation to the next. So, what did the Taino believe? At the very heart of their spiritual cosmos was the concept of the Zemi. Zemis were not just idols. They were powerful spiritual forces. They could be the spirits of revered ancestors, deities of nature like the god of cassava or the lord of the sea, or even abstract spiritual energies. These spirits were given physical form through incredible carvings of wood, stone, or even bone. Each Zemi was a conduit, a physical object that housed a powerful, non-physical entity, connecting the material world to the spiritual realm. A village-esque collection of Zemas was its sacred treasure. its direct line to the forces that shaped its destiny. How did they communicate with these powerful spirits? That was the sacred duty of the caciques and their spiritual healers, known as bohudi. These leaders would perform sacred rituals to connect with the spirit world. A central part of these ceremonies involved inhaling a hallucinogenic powder made from the seeds of the cohoba tree. This powerful substance would induce a trance state, allowing the shaman to journey into the spiritual realm, communicate directly with the Zet, and receive guidance, prophecies, or instructions for the well-being of the community. It was a profound and deeply serious ritual, the bridge between humanity and the divine. And what happened after life? The Taino had a strong belief in an afterlife. For them, death was not an end but a transformation. The souls of ordinary people went to a paradise-like realm called Coibe. But the souls of the deified caciques, the great leaders, had a different destiny. They would join the ranks of the Zemis, becoming powerful ancestral spirits themselves. To honor a past chief, the community might carve a new Zemi from a tree they believed housed his spirit. In this way, the leader's presence and wisdom were never truly lost. They remained an active, protective force within the village, ensuring a continuous cycle of life, death, and spiritual rebirth. The world of the Taino was a complex tapestry of sacred games, stunning art, and a deep, abiding connection to the spiritual forces that they believed governed the universe. Though their civilization was tragically disrupted, their legacy endures in the words we still use, the art they left behind, and the spirit of the Caribbean itself. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into history and culture. Let me know in the comments what you found most interesting. See you next time.